And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Creative Contact. I'm your host, Orion. Thank you for tuning in today, whether you on audio, whether you on video. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. We're out here in beautiful Chiang Mai, Thailand. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you know, you know. This is an incredibly special episode. This is the rooftop where it all started. My Nomad journey in Chiang Mai officially 5 years ago. I'm about a month and a half late, so don't judge me. But the sun is setting. It's about to rain. I've been wanting to do this video for ages. I finally felt the inspiration to get up here and do it because it's been rainy season, so it's just been crazy. And y'all, I've got my 5 biggest takeaways from 5 years on the road, and I'm super stoked to share them with you. We're gonna do the 5 top takeaways, and then we're going to jump into some of my favorite stories. This is gonna be a little bit long, rambly episode, so I'm just giving you that heads up from the jump. If you want the top takeaway type shit, I'm gonna have all that linked up below. A bunch of other cool stuff on the channel. This is gonna be Kia's video for y'all if you're curious about the nomad life, nomad journey. Also, a little bit of a time capsule from my own damn self, because it's insane that we've been out here doing this for 5 years officially. Kind of blows my mind. It feels a little bit like yesterday that we were up here 2018. I was at a low point in my life. I was living in West Philly. I was trying to be a rapper. I was working as a substitute teacher to pay the bills. Life was real, y'all. It was tough. I was down to like $130 in my bank account. I was like, something needs to change. And so I bought a one-way ticket to Chiang Mai, Thailand. I knew that people were building online businesses out here. I just knew that it was the place to come for myself because I wanted to restart. And I just needed to network with people that were doing what I wanted to do, which was build online business. So here we are 5 years later, started a bunch of businesses. They all failed, had one relatively successful business, and then I have been learning and kind of figuring out next steps. So after 5 years on the road, I haven't even kept track of how many countries. I'm going to tell y'all my 5 top takeaways from being out here 5 years doing the damn thing. So here we go, y'all. Okay, so the top takeaway, number 1, this one to me I think is huge. This one took me a long time to learn, and that is wherever you go, there you are. What does that mean? That means that no matter how much you travel, you can't escape yourself. That if there's this really funny SNL skit with Adam Sandler that it's like, if you're unhappy where you are now, you're going to be unhappy in Italy. Like there's something about you take yourself with you wherever you go. So a lot of the work that these last 5 years I think has been for myself that has been really game changing for me has all been internal. It's been for my damn self and figuring out that I think the new environment really helps inspire a lot of that change, but that you can't fix yourself by traveling, that travel alone isn't enough to fix you, and that a lot of folks I think use it as an escape, and that's something we're going to talk about a little bit later. It's also super hot, y'all, so if your boy's sweating out here, if I look greasy, it's because I definitely am. I'm greasy, I'm sweaty, but we're going to keep going. The show must go on. So here's the deal. Wherever you go, there you are. Do the internal work. Make sure that you are not trying to run from anything, and I'm not saying this in terms of like you listening. This is more for like Kia, my future self, my past self. That's something that I'm really realizing, is that this isn't a cure-all, but it definitely can help. And I think that brings me to my next point, which is you don't know what you don't know. So when I left Philly and I wanted to do online business, all I knew was that this is where people were making it happen. I didn't know much about it. I didn't know about landing pages and email funnels and blah, 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 blah. What's crazy though is that, and Alex Hormozi talks about this a lot, is that there are things that we know we don't know, and then there's this whole other level of shit that you don't know that you don't know. And that's where I was in this mindset because I didn't grow up, right? I didn't grow up with examples of people doing this, that like 40 to 50 grand a year, that was a good paycheck. That seemed like a normal amount of money to make, to me. Until coming out here and I met people that were running businesses online making 40, 50 grand a month or 6 figures a month. And at first it kind of breaks your brain. You don't realize that that's a thing. You don't realize that can actually happen until you see it. It's something you kind of got to see to believe. And that to me was really powerful, was being out here. And this is where I think location can make a big difference, whether you're in New York or LA or whatever it is, wherever you're going to try to pursue whatever you're pursuing, is that seeing it made it real. And also being in a place where people were doing what I wanted to be doing made a difference, right? So travel isn't the be all end all, right? You wherever you go, there you are. But being in a place where people are doing things that you want to be doing, or where you can meet people who can put you on game, to me has been a game changer. And so whether that's been out here in Chiang Mai, other folks seeing how they run their business, that it's been constantly leveling up. And I'm still in this mode now to this day of trying to figure out always, what are my blind spots? What am I actually missing that I'm not even aware that I'm missing? And that's the most difficult piece. But again, it comes down to that exposure, I think, more than anything, has been the biggest takeaway. Okay, my hat's about to blow away. I'm going to put this in my bag. Wherever you go, there you are. Travel's not going to fix your shit. It's not going to fix you, but it can definitely help. You don't know what you don't know. Going to these other places really opens your eyes also to what's possible. I'm going to actually keep jamming on that point because there's something really powerful about that. I'm going to loop back into in a little bit, which is also, I think, for being grateful and gratitude, that no matter where you are, its context really matters. And I think especially being in the States, growing up in the country, but it was definitely middle class, lower class in this tiny country town. But still, it's not until you go these other places that for myself, I realized how much I had. And even when and this still happens, right? It's not like I just wake up grateful. It's, it's a real practice. I have to put this into motion. I have to think about it. I have to journal. I have to cultivate it. It's a muscle like anything else. But that when you see how little most people have, it's really eye-opening to see how 99% of the people in the world live on so little. And that's something I'm going to come back to in another point. That just to know English, to have a U.S. passport, to make U.S. dollars, to be able to work in the U.S. is the cheat code. Is insane how many people I've met that simply that was their dream, was just to get to the States. It was like the visa process was like years long and backed up, and they're like, my dream is just to get to your country and come eat a Big Mac. Like that was it, right? And so that piece too, of you just, and again, I say you, I'm speaking to me. I don't mean to feel like I'm talking down to anyone here. This is for Kia. That I just didn't realize how much I had the entire time, right? So super powerful. Number 3, this one's really important too. There is no perfect place. That it always seems like grass is greener no matter where you go. And I think having that traveler spirit, that adventurous soul, that is something that happens to a lot of folks, myself included. We get to a place, we find a place we love it. Chiang Mai might be one of them. And then you start to think about what else there could be. You start to think about, I've got a friend in Vietnam, and that sounds pretty rad. Or you say, I actually heard about Istanbul, or Medellin, or Buenos Aires. You say, ooh, I actually heard about Portugal. That there will always be something that feels like it's next. There will always be something that feels like it's better. And that no matter where it is, no place is perfect. There are places that are better fits for certain people, of course, but then no place has it all. Otherwise, everybody would be there. I also think there's a real secret sauce to the idea that what is perfect is completely subjective, and that you don't know what it is until you have to try it and find it for yourself. I think this was a huge one for me when I remember going to Da Nang in Vietnam, and I was dragged there by my buddy, you know who you are, shout out Jay. And he just on a whim, my visa was up for Chiang Mai, I had to go somewhere new. So we go to Da Nang together. And I fall in love with this place almost immediately. It's like the beaches are pristine, the people are sweet, the food is good, it's dirt cheap, it's amazing. And I have a friend that comes and visits, and he's like, Kia, this place is trash. What are you talking about? He came to stay for a month, and he left after 2 weeks. Same goes for Bali. I went to Bali when it was really starting to get hot, Canggu and Ubud, not my vibe. And I have friends that absolutely love it. And I think that to me was a really telling piece of it, is that you have to figure it out for yourself. That I can't tell you. I can tell you my favorite places, but your favorite places will be for you. And that also experiences make the location. When you talk to people that have really loved a certain place,
talk to them about what their experience was like there, and I'll guarantee that they had a great experience. Same goes for the opposite, that if you don't have a great experience, often it reflects on the place. And so those two go hand in hand, and I think it's just a really important distinction for myself to think about when I'm thinking about places and recommend places. I'm saying, Kia, this is because of my experience. This was very personal to me because of something that I had happened there. That doesn't necessarily mean that place is incredible. Okay, so that's number 3. No perfect place. The place depends on the experience. Seriously, the place will, your perception of the place will change and bend in your mind, almost like people do, depending on the experience you have with them. This is another one. This kind of ties in with that. Great is often better than new. You travel long enough that now I'm at a place, yes, I still have that traveler's bug that I want to go explore. I want to go see what's out there. But I've also found what's almost more fulfilling than new places are the people that are there. Is that it's almost people are equally, if not more important than the place itself. And so at this point, there are still plenty of places in the world I want to go and see and experience. But I'd almost rather go to places I already know that I've enjoyed and that I have homies at, like the place that I have community. My travel these days is almost more dictated by the people that are in these places than simply novel places themselves. And that was a big tell for me. Think about it, how experience shapes your perspective on a place, right? Was that I realized a lot of times when I was really enjoying a place, what was the difference? I was like, okay, I really loved my time here. What changed? Either I had an incredible relationship. It was when you really boil it down, it was connection with other humans. It was either I had a relationship, like an intimate relationship with a woman that was fantastic, or I had a group of friends or one really good friend. There was something about a human connection in a place that made it. And so now I'll often prefer to go to places I may have already been, may already know, if there's people that I know and love there, rather than try someplace new. And again, this goes to the experience thing. I know I'm sounding like I'm beating a dead horse, but really people will make it or break it. And my travel plans now look something like, I want to spend like 6 months, have like a home base somewhere that I can bop out and still travel to. But you travel long enough and there's this balance between novelty and community, between novelty and productivity, that I find when I'm in just constant travel mode, I'm not as productive. I don't get as much done. And that to me, I feel like I almost need to I like to be productive. I like to be creative, and that's more helpful when I can lock in for a little bit, 2, 3, 4, 5 months at a time. And the same goes for novelty, right? That I like being maybe popping out for a weekend. I find that's kind of a nice rhythm for me, to be maybe 1 weekend a month is an adventure, or a couple weekends a month. But that for the most part, I get locked in, and that works for me. No matter where I am, my schedule kind of looks the same. So that for me was kind of a big takeaway, was that it will never feel like enough, traveling around. And so at some point you've got to say, this place works, this place is good enough, and I'm going to post up for a while. All right, last one, super important one, and this one I'm going to tie back into what we were talking about a little bit earlier about the people part, is I think there's a lot of fear, especially as Americans. I think this is Kia kind of on my weird pedestal high horse, but like soapbox, however many things you can get on a pedestal, a soapbox, and a high horse, I'm just very elevated for this point, is that our media, I think, does a good portrayal that a lot of places are weird and scary and dangerous. And that's what a big piece I've noticed from being in some hood spots in Rio, in the favelas in Brazil, to the comunas in Medellin, to pretty gritty spots in Bangkok. Like, all cities are dangerous and have dangerous places to them. Over 5 years, I've had no issues getting robbed, getting mugged, and I've put myself in some pretty dicey situations from time to time, being an idiot. But that, I think, has been really important, is knowing that whether I'm in New York or I'm in Rio, or I'm in Medellin, or I'm in Mexico City, like the rules, the location changes, but the rules stay the same. And that is, keep your eyes and ears open. Don't be an idiot. Don't go home. Don't walk home like super late at night. I don't drink, but a lot of my friends, whenever they have problems, have been drinking. And sometimes it's luck of the draw, right? You can't minimize that to zero, no matter what. Sometimes wrong place, wrong time, that's going to happen. But you can do what's under your control to make sure that that doesn't happen. And that there is the pros, to me, again, completely outweigh the cons. And that whatever's unknown, your mind will often make much worse than it actually is in reality. That places will be scary and will seem strange and will seem dangerous until you get there. And that most people, in like Medellin Paisas, like in Medellin, they're some of like the most kind people I've ever met. Medellin now, I think, is starting to get the reputation of like being more welcoming compared to, you know, being one of the murder capitals. I don't know, was it like a couple decades ago? But that to me has been really telling, that people will want to help you for the most part. Like, people will go out of their way when things get really real to help you out. And that most people don't give a shit about you. Like, because they're just doing the best they can. Most people are just trying to put food on their family. Shout out JW. Most people are just trying to like do their job, get home, feed folks, and like go to bed. Like, it's not as crazy as it seems. Like, before I traveled, I thought a lot more people were like out to get me. And it's just really helped me understand how it's like when you have like a stain on your shirt, like nobody really gives a fuck, you know, like people are more concerned about making their world go around. And to me, for those few times when you are swindled, when you are taken advantage of, it balances out to be a 10 times out of 10 for your boy, a price I'm willing to pay in order to have the experience where most of the time people are kind. And if you always go around with that defense, you're going to miss out on some incredibly special experiences when you're just going to have to trust that people are looking out for you. And again, this comes with kind of learning your spidey senses a little bit and feeling people out, use your intuition. But one of the stories I'm going to talk about in a little bit, I'm going to go through, I have a couple favorite stories, favorite experiences. Motorcycling through Vietnam with a friend, through the mountains of Vietnam. Sun was setting. We weren't going to make it to the city where we were going to book a hotel. We pull off into this little gravel path into this tiny village. And using Google Translate, I just ask a guy if there's a place we can stay for the night. And he just motions for us to follow him. Doesn't speak a word of English. And we follow him down to his sister's house. And she speaks some English. And we end up sleeping on her karaoke table that night. And it was... They could have robbed us, drugged us, they could have done a zillion things. And what happened instead was they cooked us dinner and then took us to like this special family watering hole where the guy didn't speak again like a word of English. And it was like this super secluded, pristine water. We swam and they cooked us dinner. It was like, again, those moments happen but you have to trust and like intuit them. And there's like a zillion of those moments that, don't happen if you come in with your defense up, because you always need to be booked. You always need the place to have a Google review. You always need the place that, you know, to be super safe. Like, you kind of got to be opened up to the world a little bit from time to time. I'm not saying you got to always eat street food and it's got to be rough and tumble, but you kind of got to be open to the world, to the magic of it. Okay, last one, y'all. This one's a quick one. This one, I'm actually going to give y'all a bonus. Here's a little bonus. Little Kia's quick tip travel bonus. Rules are always flexible. My mom taught me this, and this is something I live and die by. Rules are only as strong as the people imposing them. That means visa requirements. That means baggage/luggage requirements for your plane. That means apartment requirements. That means paperwork. That means anything that you can think of, getting pulled over, doing things that are breaking the law. It's all negotiable. That's a mic drop, but I'm not going to drop this mic because it was expensive. Everything is negotiable, people. That is a huge takeaway for me. So much of visas getting in and out of a country and the required documents depends on how much that person knows and wants to be a pain in the ass. Depends. Sometimes they don't know the protocol and they don't care what you read on. You can't believe what you read on the internet. I know that seems crazy, but like most times there'll be in forums, people are like, wow, you can't get in unless you have an onward flight ticket. Almost never happens. And if it does, you book it through Booking or Expedia.com and then just cancel it within 24 hours. Key is bars for you. Apartments, like ask to see the place through Airbnb. You're not supposed to rent off Airbnb. Show up and just ask them if you can pay in cash. Key is bars for you. What's another one? Visas. Right? Try to talk to the person and just being kind and trying to like turn on the charm a little bit goes so far. I can't articulate that enough. Apartment stuff, same. Like, I can't tell you how many rules I break almost all the time just because I asked. And I said, hey, I know this isn't normal protocol, but would you mind if X, Y, and Z? Like, you shoot shots and you'd be surprised how often people say, you know what? Yeah, screw it. That's what's on the sign, but come on in. Like, I can't explain this enough. Break the rules, ask, shoot shots. Okay, this gives a little quick tip bonus. Last thing I'm going to go through with y'all, couple highlight memories over the last 5 years. I know we're getting super rambly. We're getting up there. What is this? 23 minutes? Okay, through almost dying, through broken hearts, through psychedelics, it has been a crazy journey. I'm going to take these one at a time, almost in chronological order. One of my favorite memories that I'll always have, again, it was from this rooftop. Check this out. The first time I ever shot an online course was on this rooftop after coming back from a Nomad summit. That wasn't on my memories. I wasn't including to talk about that. But again, it shows I didn't plan. I didn't have an outline. I didn't have anything. I just hopped up on this rooftop. I was feeling inspired. I just shot videos. I just came off the dome. And that course was the kind of jumping point, the launch pad into my entire career as an online course creator, right? And so again, it's like these small lessons of like just go for it and iterate and all these business things that really come down to life that like happened here in Chiang Mai, that happened from meeting these people here in Chiang Mai. And so it will always hold a special place in my heart. And it was a special time, I think, in terms of the community. There were a lot of us. Y'all know who you are. Chiang Mai homies, Digital Nomad Coffee Club homies. What was it? The CNX social homies. Like, it was a special time to be here. A lot of us nomads that are still doing the damn thing to this day were here. And we were just getting started. We were starting e-commerce businesses that were failing. We were just doing Amazon FBA. We were doing coaching, all this sort of stuff. It's cool to see how everybody's leveled up. But that community that really opened my eyes to what's possible. And Chiang Mai is a special place. It has that, it has that special sauce to it, but especially that time period was incredible. And so many of those people I'm still friends with today. And so if you're one of them, shout out to you. Thank you for opening my eyes up to what's possible. Next, I already talked just a little bit. Motorcycling through Vietnam. That was amazing. Vietnam itself, that whole chapter, I was making beats, 2 beats a day. I was really pushing myself creatively. I was trying to sell beats online and just walking on the beach. It was the first time I ever was just like outside topless by the beach all day, every day. And it was like, this is so real. Doing Muay Thai and boxing and just, again, living by the water, working on music. Everything still felt possible. Everything was still sparkling a little bit around it. It was still just a little bit of a naive time, but still a beautiful time. So shout out to Vietnam. Special place. That was my second year. 3, in 2020, when the pandemic hit, you already know what it is. Oaxaca was incredible, but more than that, it was falling in love in Guadalajara. I think that was a relationship that really opened I was the last relationship that really opened my eyes to what I wanted out of life. And that time in Guadalajara and in Mexico, it was during the pandemic, so it was strange. It was like even through this worldwide pandemic, and it was, like I said, experience makes or breaks your place. I was falling in love, and it was I'd gotten a vasectomy, and it was the first time I'd ever dated a single mom, and I realized that kids might be something that I actually wanted in my future. It was the first time I ever got to kind of taste that a little bit. And sometimes going to the park and sitting on the bench with Shorty, this this rock star shit might be for the birds. Like, I might be actually chasing the wrong thing, and what I actually want, what I need isn't what I want, and what I need might actually be right here in front of me. And I'm missing it because I'm constantly somewhere else, planning and wanting to achieve more. That mix of ambition, that hole inside of me that I've always tried to fill with competition and ambition. It was the first time it like snapped me out of reality, maybe to reality, who knows, to say like, Kia, like there's more to life than this. You know, the first time it really got crystal clear for me. Falling in love with Guadalajara, I loved. Almost dying in Medellin, as crazy as that sounds, that was a wake-up call. I took some pills I wasn't supposed to. I took a pill in Ibiza. No, I'm just kidding. I took a pill in Medellin, and it was like an Alka-Seltzer pill or something, but it was enough that irritated my intestines that I had this internal bleeding, almost died, passed out in the waiting room, had to get these crazy blood transfusions, and I felt like I got a new lease on life. I almost died. I was stuffed in the trunk in Guadalajara. I was out doing I was in a skiing accident and almost died when I was in 6th grade. Like, your boy, out of the 9 lives, the casket, I'm on probably like number 4 or 5. And I feel like every time it's like I get that, it's like a passport stamp. They're like, chick, like, welcome back to life, young man. Like, get your shit together. And spending the time in the hospital, realizing how quickly priorities changed, how little anything really mattered except for my folks, was pretty rad, pretty special. And again, kind of pulled me out of the matrix a little bit, helped me get refocused, and I think about that a lot. Like, it really put me into a weird headspace a bit to think about like some nihilistic shit, like how much does anything really matter? But it was also super powerful just to understand how fleeting this all really truly is. Some other really powerful points for me have been the psychedelic experiences, and that's something I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Was that whole time in Rio. I spent a couple months in Brazil, a couple times last year. It was 2 months in Florianopolis, 3 months actually in Florianopolis, 2 months in Brazil, in Rio. And again, it's like when I get into these modes where I'm living by the beach, I'm topless, I'm exercising, I'm eating good, there's something potent about that, especially if you can find a little bit of love there. Like, if you can have like a little something sparky, you know what I mean? There's something so powerful about living by the beach, having shorty, eating good food, doing martial arts, that I've found really is kind of my key to life. There's a lot of people out there doing really incredible stuff. Oftentimes I can get envious. I'll feel jealous that I'm like, oh my God, they're doing this and that. And when I really boil it down, though, what really for me, the times that I'm happiest are like when things are simple. I still feel creative. I feel love. I feel supported. I'm by the beach. I'm in the sun, and I'm doing martial arts or dancing. Like that getting some of that movement and feeling connection with other people, feeling in communion with other people is the sauce. And last but not least, in a crazy turn of events, this last year has actually been as difficult as it has been, letting go of the dream, the rapper dream, unraveling myself from the vision I had of who I was, really taking a step back to see what it is that I want out of life, having some real talks with myself around what my capabilities are, what my talents are, what my weaknesses are, and having some real hard conversations with the man in the mirror has also been incredibly powerful. Some of these experiences, whether it was the Vision Quest, the Buddhist retreat, ayahuasca, like these ways to really just have that mirror reflect back to me more truth, has been really powerful. And then the amount of creative output that I feel like I've been able to work on this last year, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's, writing, I've pretty much put together this collection of short stories. I'm really feeling inspired to write this biography for a friend. I'm excited about this freelancer business. It's just been really powerful learning how much we get in our own way. It's not necessarily about technical skills. It's about this whole combination of layering skills on top of each other. And that music wasn't about just making music, right? It was about the game, playing the game. and that we're all playing a game of some sort or another, and really taking that step back to think about what kind of a game do I want to play. Do I want to be a rock star? Do I want to be spending, that many months in a tour bus? What do I want what's the vision for my life? And then working backwards from there to reverse engineer it and figure out I need much less than I thought I did. But there are those takeaways and those realizations that you don't actually know until you try and until you brush up against them and until you fail. And so as life will continue to humble me for this next chapter of the adventure, I'm excited for it. It's handing me a couple L's at the moment, but I'm taking them in stride. I'm learning from it. And on some Ryan Holiday stoic shit, right? Obstacle is the way. I think these are really beautiful moments to understand when it's difficult and to appreciate when it's difficult, because I know it's always when things are hardest that I grow the most, but it doesn't necessarily make it easier when I'm still in those difficult moments. And so I'm really trying to have that perspective right now where it's tough, but I know I'm growing. I know I'm going to look back on it and say, wow, I learned a lot in this phase, and trying to embrace that process a little bit, just because life will throw you some curveballs from time to time. But it's been an incredible 5 years. It's been a heartbreaking 5 years through a worldwide pandemic, through death, through falling in love, through falling out of love, through a vasectomy, through wanting to have kids. Man, for all the folks that have been a part of this with me so far, thank you for rolling with the kid. For everybody I've met along the way on the journey in person, IRL, thank you for dropping gems on me. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for accepting me for who I am, who I want to be. Thanks for putting up with my crazy sleep schedule and my crazy optimization habits. Learning how to let go is easier said than done. And I'm not sure where I'll be in the next 5. Maybe still abroad. Maybe I'll have my European passport by then. I'll be a resident. But wherever I end up in 5 years, these last 5 have been an adventure, if nothing else. And at the end of it, at least I'll have a good story to tell. What's not to love? Thank you, y'all, for tuning in. As always, appreciate you sticking with me through this entire crazy, rambly episode. 5 years on the road, 5 life lessons. Get out there, break some rules, and I'll check you on the next one. Peace.